I'm here with Joe Flanigan from Stargate Atlantis and General Hospital. So, I want to start with this, with a very weird question. Like when I search your the history of your employment of like what you did is like you start basically at the White House, you go through movies, and then you end up as a woodworker. Kind of like you said it in one interview that you play with wood, like, sorry for the word. So it seems like you try to do everything. So are you satisfied with acting?
I'm never satisfied with one thing.
Okay.
Ever. And I did start in politics. I did go to entertainment, and then I've circled back, and I'm actually involved in politics right now.
Yeah, I know.
As a political consultant.
Yeah.
And I do enjoy it. And it's a complicated time right now in the United States, to say the least. I mean, we're a couple of days away from the election right now.
A couple months. Let's be fair. There will be double counting, hand counting, recounting, and recounting, hand counting. So probably around February you will know.
No, you'll know the next day.
I know, but I'm saying the narrative.
Exactly.
You know the narrative. You know who says
that's
it.
Right. You'll know the next day, and then there'll be a group of people trying to say maybe that you don't know.
Yeah.
But anyways, the woodworking I've always done, and during COVID, there wasn't a lot to do. So I started doing that. And I do enjoy it. I've never been satisfied with one thing. I like to do a lot of things.
So there's something that you have in mind, like for the next few years, like you already see a different career?
Well, right now I'm shooting a documentary, and we're sort of on the campaign trail.
Oh.
And I like doing that. I've never done a documentary. So I'm kind of like a journalist and talking to people, and I really like it. I didn't realize how much I would like it. I really enjoy it. Yeah.
But do you mostly enjoy like the talking part, or just like trying to learn more about whatever the subject is, or maybe the scripting, if there would be like a story or script, because you also wrote 2 episodes of Stargate Atlantis, which is like not something that every actor wants to do.
Well, no, but like if I were to give advice to an actor today, you want to go into the business, you want to be writing, directing, producing, and acting. You want to do all of it because, you're going to have to. Because nothing is, no more, there's a consistency that I was afforded because I could just work as an actor and I'd be busy. Today, it's like it's difficult. So you want to do multiple things at once. But as far as you asking what I enjoy about the interviewing process, I think I've always liked people. I like people, and I like talking.
That's a controversial point. Yeah,
I like to talk to people, and I like to know what they're thinking, and get into like their minds, and it's kind of fun, and then you travel. And, you get to travel with your crew, and, I always like doing that. And it's fun. It's a collaboration. I think I like collaboration.
Okay. So would you say that, like, just doing documentaries or political documentaries? Because there's like two different beasts.
Well, they are and they're not. But, I mean, in the sense that documentaries is the umbrella.
Yeah.
And you have political documentaries. But I would do all sorts of different types of documentaries. I like documentaries, and I like information. So I think doing documentaries would be a lot of fun. But that's another competitive business.
So if you came back to politics right now, so that would be probably a weird question. What kind of like knowledge or the things that you learned as an actor did you employ while going back to politics? Is there any lesson that you learned?
Interesting, because, well, in Hollywood, you have to have a story. The reason people love Hollywood is because we tell stories.
Yeah.
And people relate to stories much more than information.
Yeah, of course.
And in politics, all successful politics are a story. So everybody has a story, and the people that do the best have their story.
Mm-hmm.
Donald Trump has a fake story, but it's
Yeah,
a
but
story.
it's a story,
The story
yeah.
is, I made all this money and became this incredibly successful businessman. Now, that's not true, but it doesn't matter. The point is, he had as a story, and the story people like. Part of the problem Kamala Harris is having right now is her story is like hasn't sunk in quite much, but her story is pretty interesting.
Yeah, it is. But wouldn't you say that now you as a consultant or even like a director would say, but you need to sell the story, be more of a storyteller, because whatever you can say about Donald Trump, he tells a lot of stories.
Yes. So, well, it's interesting. So, part of what I'll do if I work with an individual candidate, I'll talk about things like really that directly from acting. I'll talk about pitch and speed.
Oh.
So, you can get like Hillary Clinton will be like, and you're like, oh man, her voice is terrible and she's high pitched and she's monotone. And then I can show on a graph where she's at. And then I can show Donald Trump, and Donald Trump's all over. He talks loud, he talks soft. He talks fast, he talks slow, and he's like, he's all over the place. He's using tricks that are for performers. And he's learned those tricks in TV.
As an apprentice.
And those tricks need to be taught to politicians because it doesn't matter how smart and good you are. You have to entertain people. This is sad.
That's what I wanted to say.
But you got to keep if they're bored, they're not going to pay attention to you. They don't get bored by a narrative of your life, a story, and they don't get bored. If I learn how to talk like this, talk like this. Make it a little dramatic, whatever. The point is, people suddenly are paying attention, and so there's direct stuff from Hollywood that gets played.
So do you, as an actor and as a consultant, do you like watch the politics on a totally different level? Like, oh, I know that trick. My acting professor taught me that trick in a politician. Do you see those tricks in politicians?
I do.
I'm not saying you don't have to name names.
For example, it's very funny. Most politicians are really bad actors.
Yeah, that's
They're
right.
just bad, and I see right through it. And Mike Pence is a great example. He does the same trick every time, but it's a trick that works in his speech because he'll speak like this, and then he'll say, well, I'm talking about the election because we are the greatest country in the world. And then he just slowly rises up, and then that's the cue for the audience to be like, and you're like, it's boring. But the point is, it's a trick. And they're tricks that, for example, in comedy, you have to learn, if you hear feedback from the audience, to wait, let the laughter go. And then there's a moment right when it's done, there's boom, and you hit him again. And Trump knows how to do it.
Yeah, that's true.
He knows how to do it.
If you watch his rallies...
Kamala Harris isn't bad. She's not bad. She's actually okay. But he is this giant, many-headed Leviathan that everybody's just like, it's hard not to watch him. It's impossible not to watch him.
I heard that someone said that if he were like a stand-up comedian, I would pay to watch him. And like a lot of people that like despise Trump would say, please just become a stand-up comedian. You would make so much money.
Well, no, the truth is he's not funny.
Like it's not, but he's entertaining.
It's entertaining.
That's asking about
that's different than being stand-up.
The public about would you rather be electrocuted or eaten by a shark? That's
I'm thinking. There's a battery over here. There's a shark over there.
You see, you remember.
What do I do? I'm gonna go with the battery. And so he just is impossible not to watch.
Yeah, that's true.
And in a world where everybody's attention is so difficult to capture, that's currency. And that currency he traded in. And so what I try to do with individual candidates is talk about that. The currency of getting their attention versus what I'm doing now, which is really to capture. What I'm doing now is capturing how divisive we are and why you're not talking to your brother and your brother's not talking to his mother and his mother's not talking to his daughter because we're all fighting over the politics. And I've never seen it like this in my life.
I'm sorry, I'm saying like an outsider. Are you really fighting about politics, or is it like tribalism? Like it's more about like he's my friend, and not about like public option versus private.
I think that's a really profound question, because it all comes back. It's not tribalism per se, because tribalism is like you would stay in your family.
Yeah. That's true, but
this is dividing tribes. So this is a different type of divisiveness.
But that sounds like you're defining like a cult or something like that, you know?
Well, it is. And I would argue most people couldn't tell me what his policies are. He could not tell you what his policies are because they're going to change. But he could tell you, it's a cult of personality.
Yeah.
And so, but what he does is, not to get too into it, but he'll say, oh yeah, that guy over there, he just told me what an asshole you are. And then I go to him, I go, oh, that guy just told me what an asshole you are. And then pretty soon, you guys you're suspicious of each other.
Yeah.
And while you're doing that, I'm just over here counting money. And that's what he does.
And again, that's
what a lot of politicians do. Don't get me wrong. But he's really good at it.
Yeah. Which
like,
is really
he's
bad.
good at it. Like, I don't think he's good at it. I think he's terrible at it. But he's good at it in the sense he's successful at it.
Maybe
I see it. I'm like, you're a con artist. But a lot of people don't see it.
Yeah, the point is like the fact that you see it means like how many people around you or how many politicians, how bad they were at telling stories.
Yes.
Because his rise to the top was like immediate.
He is the first kind of, what would you call it, reality performer to hit politics. We've had Reagan.
Yeah.
But Reagan was like more like a polished politician because he was such a good actor.
And he started he didn't start his politician ways as a candidate. He was
He's a spokesman for General Electric.
Yeah, that's true. That's also true.
But that was interesting. So he that's how he started.
Yeah.
He went around the country with these General Electric kind of town halls, and then that's when he got this like thing going, and then he ran for governor.
Yeah, governor before.
California.
Yeah. So he learned that there was like a graduation. Donald Trump never like ran for public office before.
Right. But listen, as ridiculous as what's happening, whatever's happening in America is going to happen everywhere.
Yeah, that's true. I'm not trying to say like we are better in Poland or something.
What I'm saying is I have these conversations. I spend a lot of time out of the country, and I always tell everybody, beware. It's coming in your direction.
Yeah.
You may not think it is, but all it takes is one reality star, one influencer, one person to come along with bad motives and bad intentions and capture people's attention and turn the whole system upside down.
Like that's the power of populism, right? Like the populist candidate. But like Great Britain had like Boris Johnson, who also was he was very good at diverting attention from politics to like his hair, his accent, what he was wearing, and they talked about this and never talked about the politics.
I would call him a smarter Donald Trump.
Yeah, exactly.
Smarter, actually well-educated.
Yeah, even though he played he always played an idiot as an MP.
My husband, yeah, he's just like all over the place, and he was very entertaining.
Again.
Pilot plasma jelly. Yeah, he just has this like wonderful kind of.
And you still remember that's isn't it terrifying that you still remember like the worst politicians, not the best ones? You cannot quote Jimmy Carter's line, for example.
This is so fascinating because at what point, I started in politics when entertainment, and I'm back in politics. At what point does entertainment and politics become indistinguishable? Where you can't get elected unless you are an entertainer.
Yeah.
And then the point is like, then who's really governing? Are we governing, or do we have to just give an image and a perception that we're governing? So as long as you think we're governing, we don't know what the fuck's going on. We don't know. I don't even know if you're getting checks and the mail's working, but it looks right.
Yeah.
I think that this is where the world is headed. And so I think it's a really interesting time, and I see it as a warning symbol. I hope the rest of the world looks at it and goes, I don't know what America's going through, but they've lost their mind. No, you're going to lose your mind too. You will lose your mind. You think you're in control. All it takes is one new generation that sees things differently, and you have a problem.
So you're wrapping up the documentary right now, or are you like in the process?
Well, it was interesting because we're shooting it with a nonpartisan group that talks about democracy, and it was supposed to be just up to the election, but because it's gotten really interesting, we're now making a decision. We should know in the next few days whether we're going to go through all the way through inauguration.
Ooh.
And even the first 100 days of administration.
Isn't it because you worry about another January 6th? So because
but imagine if Trump wins.
I think there's
going to be problems, but they'll be probably of a slightly different nature.
Yeah.
But they're going to be problems.
Of course.
And so either way you look at it, after the election, we're going to have to figure out how to work together. And I don't know how we're going to do it. And so that's what I'm trying to capture is like, and the question I ask most people is, what part of accountability plays a role and what part of forgiveness plays a role? Because you can't have both all the time.
Yeah.
You can't just punish people. Like Trump wants to punish all of his enemies. But at one point, that's not going to work after a while. You're going to have to figure out how to bring the other half of the country into things. And so I this is a very complicated issue, and it's what I would call the first post-digital apocalypse, because it is everything to do with social media, misinformation, disinformation, and the inability of people to really understand what reality is.
So, trying to bring movies back into this. So, you as a political consultant, you probably have to. You want to watch like the newest movies that try to understand it, but in a way like Alex Garland Civil War. So would you say that from your point of view we are closer to Alex Garland Civil War or to the misunderstood classic, what was the Idiocracy from 20 years ago?
Idiocracy would be the humorous version, and not far off the mark to some degree. But the truth is, Civil War is, are we at the Civil War? No, we're not there, but that's the logical conclusion. Like, if you don't pull it back and you let it keep going, that's where you do end up. So I've been on the road with all these historians that have written books about civil wars, and they tell you, every civil war, they never thought it was going to happen.
Of course,
Literally up to the day of the Civil War, nobody thought, your brother's not going to kill your other brother, that's not going to happen. Until it happens. And then in our Civil War, the first battle of the American Civil War, people thought it was just going to be one battle, and they all brought food and picnics.
Oh.
And it was called the Battle of it was Bull Run, but it was they all brought picnics, and they all laid out the food, and they're like, this is so exciting, we're going to watch a battle. And that's how they did not take it seriously. That it was going to really be that. And next cut to 600,000-700,000 people dead, and so how do you, as a person who's still a working actor, how do you try like to balance it? Because like I have here questions about, like, for example, like the commercial with of course Jason Momoa. So how can you, maybe this would be like advice for everyone around the world, like how to stay sane, how to still not like go and get eaten by despair. Listen, my advice is pretty cliche, but it's true. Hold on to your friends. Hold on to your friends. Keep your friends close. Your friends are everything in life. And your friends, if you have good friends and you show up for them and they show up for you, you should live a pretty interesting life. But people that don't invest in them, and it's harder for men to invest in friendships. Women are really easy. They talk. They get on the phone and talk 30 minutes with each other a day. Guys don't do that.
Yeah, that's true.
And
that's
unless
true.
they're doing something, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, let's go to the gym or let's go biking or whatever. But you can't do that all the time. You're working, I'm working. So what happens to men, and especially in America, you work, you lose your friendships, and then people retire, and then they're really lonely. See, one thing about our country, I think America is one of the loneliest countries in the world. And we really put a lot of importance on your economic mobility. So, so what I would say is like, hey man, I got a job for you. It's in Kansas. Pack your bags.
Yeah.
You're leaving tomorrow. You need to pack your bags to get going.
Yeah, I know.
But you'd be like, well, yeah, but I live in a house with my parents and my grandparents and my dog and my cousin, and they're like, so what? That's what they say in America.
Yeah, that's yeah.
And so you're gone.
Yeah.
And so all the family relationships are stretched, friendships are stretched, and it's all about work in America. And I think it makes for a lonely country. And that's also why I think we're so angry.
Yeah. Of course,
Yeah.
you have no one to just to vent, For,
Well, think about it. If you have a friend who's a little bit crazy politically, you're still like, you're such an idiot. You buy me a beer, and you're friends. But if you don't make contact with that person, they become an enemy.
Yeah, that's true.
And so
just because of one position or one because he likes someone or something.
And what you guys have in Europe, you have intergenerational stuff.
Yeah.
So parents, grandparents, grandkids, they're sometimes in the same house.
Yeah.
We do not have it. Old people stay with old people. Young people stay with young people. And so it makes everybody like this. And it's problematic. And so that's part of what in the documentary we're looking at those things. We're like, it's not just politics, it's a bunch of other things. What are we going to do to address this? People don't care about money as much as we think they do.
Yeah,
they care about belonging.
Yeah, of
and
course.
They care about being valued. And how do you get that back? You do it through family and community. And if your family and community are gone, all it is money.
Then
and then that's not good enough.
Then you create like a fake community, whatever you want to say, online community. But the Trump, they call it the MAGA crowd is a community.
Yeah.
They.
That's exactly. It's a church.
Yeah. So
it's a church.
So do you think while you were working on the documentary, do you think that entertainment as an actor, you as an actor, do you have?
Sorry.
Yep. That would be like the last question. So do you think that? Or maybe do you look at new opportunities to work in entertainment, in movies? Do you now look at it differently, thinking how can this project or this movie or this TV series, can it help? I'm using the big word here, heal America. Just like right now, there's a great movie in the great animated movie, Wild Robot. Usually, it's about
it's really popular.
Yeah, it's great. I was crying the whole movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was like.
Okay, really, I'll take your recommendation.
Yeah, it's great, and it's about choosing your family. So again about relationships, etc. So are you looking at your new opportunities that way, having in the back on your mind?
Listen, I wish that I had enough importance in Hollywood that I could make those choices. I don't. If they offer me certain jobs and other jobs, I still have to work. I have kids.
Yeah, of course.
And so. But would I be more prone to do a project that helps? Yes, absolutely. And if I'm given those choices, I'll make that choice. Mostly, I'm not given those choices, but I am given that choice in doing the documentary.
Yeah.
Or doing political consulting, and I'm like, this should help. We need good people out there, and we're at a really interesting time in America. For 240 years. Every single generation has done better than their parents.
Yes,
Except for now. Now, all of our psyche is all about optimism, and you're going to do better than your parents, and I'm going out to the Wild West, and I'm a cowboy, and I'm self-sufficient, and I'm this. Those are all your mythologies you tell it. Well, if suddenly that open expanse and that endless opportunity is no longer there, what mythologies do you start telling yourself?
Yeah.
People don't appreciate what's happening in America is a tectonic psychological shift. And that's why we're turning on each other and trying to fight each other.
Because if you don't
we're running out of opportunity.
You don't have the optimism, you find a group, usually marginalized group, that you can hate because it will be easier because you are better than the group.
And one of the reasons everybody says, America's a good country, it's a benign country, it's a generous country. That is true, but it's premised on
of course.
Well, I'm just going to go over here because you're bugging the crap out of me, and I'm going to move to a different state. I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
But if you run out of that opportunity, what happens?
Yeah.
Europe knows.
Okay, so we'll be. I'm trying to finish. I'm trying to finish. I'm trying to say the last thing recording.
Let's finish.
I'm trying to say the last. So let's try to find and catch that. Do you have the title for the docuseries?
No, the working title is Democracy and Its Discontents.
Okay, so you heard the title. Try to look for it. Once again, Joe Flanigan, thank you very much. It was a pleasure.
Appreciate it. Oh, you ask good questions.
Thank you.